Welcome everybody to another chapter of the Mandalorian, the Book of Bo-Katan. As me and Najee are here to give you another review on Chapter 6, Guns for Hire. Welcome back, Najee, as we get into this new episode. I know you've been wanting to talk about this because talking about all your theories coming to light in one episode. Uh, but as we jump right back into it, we follow up on the previous episode as we have Bo-Katan as she's been instructed to find the Mandalorians and bring everybody into the fold. And her first mission is to find her crew and the last place that she remembers them being. But we also start the episode off with a ship being hailed. We see an old Empire ship, thinking that Empire's still around, right? So we see an old Empire ship still out in space, and we have a smaller vessel that is being hailed as they have a somebody on board that they've been paid to retrieve.
Yeah.
And obviously my thoughts here, I'm like, okay, who, after the whole Moff Gideon talk, your first thought is like, oh man, he's back.
Yeah.
Where they're going to show him, right?
No, it makes sense though too, because like I mean, when you talk about it also kind of felt like the beginning of I think it was A New Hope. It was like the beginning shot felt very much like it, and you're just like, oh, it's definitely Moff Gideon in there, but it wasn't. So, but yeah, go ahead.
That shot, I mean, obviously, this is a testament to how influential Star Wars has been throughout media. Like that spaceship shot has been used in so many different like where it opening credits, you see a big Empire ship and then like a ship trying to get away from it. But like I said, we start off as we get the these new species. Like I've never seen them before. We get like this fish people, and I'm not about to say and go through all the species in Star Wars because it's a lot, but we see that we have the Mandalorians are pursuing them. As they have the prince on board as he's trying to run away with his with the love of his life.
She said he only a fling.
She's not about to put her people at risk for that little quick situation. And his feelings was quickly hurt as you see that here. But we also get to see, which I thought it was a good idea to see kind of like the values and the morals of the other Mandalorians, because I thought this was going to be a part of the episode where they like, oh man, they went rogue. We're going to have to take them out. You know what I mean? We're going to have to kill them. But clearly like, look, we got paid. This is what we're here to do. Ain't got to be no bloodshed, which kind of what they were kind of looming up to. And it's like a no fuss, no fight situation. Come on back. Let's get our money. Just kind of at the beginning of this episode, like kind of what were your thoughts on like just seeing that crew again and like everything that was going on? We see Sasha Banks, Miss Mercedes, right off the break.
Yeah, it was fulfilling, one, because now we're seeing that the first crew of folks, if not of many others, who Bo-Katan is going to rendezvous back up with the mercenaries. But yeah, I think it was interesting to kind of seeing. So like what is sort of just like you said, their what's their structure now under the leadership of Axe Woven. So it was definitely cool to see, and also think like the recap scene before we actually get into the episode was really telling. Seeing Bo-Katan with the dark saber, seeing her as the leader of her crew, and just seeing all the progress she's made personally. So in contrast, we see in the mercenaries and how they operate. So you just another reminder of just how much of a person she just developed to be in her story arc over all this time. So it was really cool on that note. But yeah, I definitely was on edge. Like, oh, is this the conflict here? How is this going to be handled? Is there any manageable way to salvage this relationship? Would she flip? There was a lot kind of going on here, but nonetheless, it was about the only seriousness in this episode until things started to really get a little jokey, because this by all means felt like a true side quest of an RPG here, but I enjoyed it. It was a interesting build of things. But the one thing the Mandalorian does really good is like whether you watch YouTube videos for recap and reviews and whatnot, or Easter egg videos and whatnot, it did bring together like all the stakes involved, like understanding how much again the Darksaber means to Bo-Katan, and then the leader of Mandalore, or the Mandalorians here, where she kind of came from mentally to where she is now. Because like before, you know, she's not taking orders from nobody. There's no compromise. There is no way. She does it her way, you know. And so when somebody comes back, it's like, you know, it's almost like the person who goes to college and they come back around the way. It's like, oh, you think you're too good for us now, type of thing. It was that interesting. It was that interesting aspect of like, what would that be like? So you know, it was definitely like, again, an interesting build, a quick build in the beginning.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I just going back into that, you know, you thinking that, you know, we left the last episode with that transport ship being destroyed, and they already kind of point the fingers at Mandalorian. So like as we jump back into this, my thoughts were like, oh man, are they working with Moff Gideon? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, so it kind of sets a tone kind of going forward with the crew. And you know, as we know, Bo-Katan, she wanted to be left alone on Mandalore, and just, you know, just left in her house before it got destroyed 2 episodes ago, by freaking pirates. That, you know, so now we know that she does want to have a family. She does. Like you said, her mindset has changed, and things like as she kind of comes into the whole Mandalorian, you know, situation, she does want to build these relationships between these people and build up a family, because she definitely misses the aspect of that. You can definitely tell as she starts to work again with everybody else. Yep. But jumping back into the side quest, we got Bo and Din being literally sidetracked and pulled away from their main mission to via the subway car to meet the captain and the Duchess, played by Lizzo, which everybody had words about apparently. But they get into talking about.
You better not disrespect Jack Black here, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mr. Jack Black himself, Mr. School of Rock, Mr. Bowser himself.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. And this is the couple that no one asked for, but we'll take it.
No, nobody saw this coming. Nobody got this on Star Wars bingo.
Yeah, listen, they're all under the Disney banner, but this immediate moment of this episode felt very much like Guardians of the Galaxy. The comedy, the tone, the color usage, just the even the costume design, very elaborate, should we say, and expressive. So it was cool to kind of see the show go in that light, because Star Wars is typically dark. This was a more fulfilling side of it, just to kind of see this civilization in a way that's just, as I said, we don't do guns here, we don't have all of that stuff, we just have fun basically. And I enjoyed it, and it absolutely gave me feels of like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Look, I appreciate Star Wars for what they're doing, right? They feel like they got to do this make good and sprinkle all these black people across the universe that didn't get shown 30, 40 years ago. So now we got, you know, obviously more than, you know, one black Jedi that isn't Mace Windu. we got people with like regular jobs that exist, you know, that's not Lando. You know, it's so many. You know, we got my man Apollo Creed here, you know, in this universe. So it's so many more people that I really appreciate the diversity, especially in a universe where there are countless different species, aliens. Now, you know, obviously I'm not gonna hark on it because it was in the 70s and the 80s these movies were made, right? Not that serious, but we're making up for it now. The diversity in this universe is overwhelmingly good, and
even beyond that, the justification of Disney Plus. Like, if we're just going to keep telling the same story over and over and over, and it doesn't decide to become modern, if it doesn't decide to show us all levels of civilization, you know, all different classes of civilization, there should be people of human descent, shall I say, in all categories here. And with that, I mean, like, that's what you kind of sign up for when you want to do these Disney Plus series, and sometimes they're straight up serious, sometimes they're companion pieces to the box office, the theatrical mediums and whatnot, whether films and shorts or whatever it may be. However it's going to be, like, we should be telling like bigger and more diverse stories. So like, to me, I feel like it's kind of normalized at this point now. And sure, folks still complain, i.e. Lord of the Rings, but at the end of the day, like, it's cool to see it. But what I enjoy about it is that beyond seeing the Duchess and Captain Barbardian Barbardier, it's the fact that like we get to see celebrities be a part of
Right.
Star Wars, and they're a lot of them are major fans, and if they get a chance to do a cameo, this brings more attention to the product. As if Star Wars isn't already mainstream, but come on now. You hear Lizzo's on a Star Wars episode, you're like, well, I need to see what that's about. You hear Jack Black is on the episode, like, well, what's up with that? Like, what they doing? And sure enough, they made the best of their moments.
Yeah, like you said, like you were saying, in terms of like the color and the costume design, that whole scene around the table was amazing. Lizzo's dress was cool as hell. Yeah. Like that little 3D projection thing she had going on in the back of her dress was cool. Grogu had some really funny moments at the table. Like he was just enjoying.
He's not fond of strangers. It's like, yeah, but how about this food though? It's like a little kid, candy and kidnapped, huh? Look, threw him right in the back of the white van and got him out of there.
Eating good and being snuggled on the Lizzo. What better way to live your life? Right?
And helping her cheat, by the way, too, in her game. like we ain't peeped that.
That's definitely some Sith usage if I've ever seen it. But we kind of get into, like you said, they get into the main reason for why they kidnapped them, and explain that they have a droid problem, and they're repurposing droids from the Empire, and from the Clone Wars that we've seen, those battle droids and stuff like that, and they've been malfunctioning because pretty much everybody's lazy as hell in the city. The droids do everything, and and they show them just kind of living, like you said, this life of luxury. And they don't have weapons, they don't have this, they got a bunch of different stuff like that. So they got to figure out what the heck was making these droids malfunction. So they go around and play space cops on this planet to investigate, which I thought was pretty funny because like you I feel like a lot of this show was like investigation and trying to figure out like what's going on. Is almost like a space Batman, but you get a lot of that, and then of course we get a tour. We get a little bit of tour of the city. They go to different places, and then we come into the introduction of the security officer, the legendary Christopher Lloyd himself, Mr. Angels in the Outfit. Now Back to the Future. But he pretty much explains like they have an eye on everything involving the droids and like what's going on, all the malfunction as we see the one droid just violently shake trash out of the trash can and just straight toss it. But he pretty much explains that they have a for whatever reason big red button that shuts down all droids, and if they do so, everybody's going to lose their minds.
Yeah, I just realized too something you said. I was like, wait a minute. When you talking about Bo-Katan leaving her planet, you said Mandalore. They want to go to Mandalore. She had her castle in Kavala.
I kept thinking that was
yeah. Remember, the goal is to go back home here. But no, yeah. Listen, this is the shiny red button of which I love how this is handled. This is what I mean, like the comedic tone to this episode, because every time you see the red button, especially with a clear case over it, it's like don't press that button. So it's gonna be a big thing of a threat of don't make me press the button. Right. So the moment we got to see it, I was like, oh yeah, well, it won't be long before we have that moment of don't press the button. But yeah, if you press the button, then apparently, the droids are going to start spazzing out here. And at first, the threat is like, oh, this button will shut everything down, because that's what Bo-Katan says. Like, well, if there's a problem with the droids here, shut it down. Right. See, which is so funny because last episode I said everybody needs a droid, and sure enough, this episode they're just like, so these things are malfunctioning. Here's all the video footage of them just spazzing out, which you know, as they say, they're not programmed to attack or harm organics. But like, listen, man, if you can't carry people's shopping bags, you can't take out the trash. You know, you out here doing burnouts inside of conference rooms. You got to get them out of here, though. And also too, it was interesting to see Bo-Katan and then basically like, oh, the battle droid. She's like, I haven't seen one of those since the Clone War, and you're like, yeah, well,
yeah. How old is she? Like,
I've seen one in a while.
I was thinking like, okay, Clone Wars at this point for this series,
well,
would be about 30 to 40 years.
I mean, first of all, if the Mandalorian is the first time you've been introduced to Bo-Katan, I mean, she is one of the biggest staples in the Clone Wars animated series. So that's my first introduction. So it never amounted to me to say what's her age, but I mean, like at the same time too, when you're looking at characters like Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, and even Anakin and whatnot, I mean, these are folks who, in the midst of what happened during all of this, all of the story that the Clone Wars animated series explains, there's some of the catalysts of it, and there's some other ones too. Thrawn, which we saw by the trailer on Ahsoka today, name dropped, so that should be interesting. So yeah, you know, it's rightfully so that she should have made that reference like that, but you know, she's been a staple for a while.
They one of the moments in this episode is, like you said, they want investigation, and Den, who already hates droids with a passion, I guess he likes him a little bit now, starts messing with the battle droid and like kicking him and straight abusing. He's like, look, like the one regular droid's like, look, don't do that, man, don't do that. He keeps messing with him, and then the droid just gets low, like the droids just like have like personality. And they go on a whole, again, this is a whole cop episode. They go on a whole cop chase with a droid, and it's like tossing boxes and cars to the people, and you know they taking shots in the middle of the street. What you think about?
I just to the statement I just made, I just realized that the last time that Din Djarin got to see one of those attack droids, so did she. Because she was right on the ship too. I was just thinking about that. Yeah, so she's talking about she hadn't seen this since the Clone Wars. Like, that's true. But if she had made that statement during that battle, you know, when Luke came in and washed everybody, it made more sense. But they also had seen them together, and maybe she just quickly forgot. But like, it made it seem like she hasn't seen it in this long, and he has like, I haven't seen it in this long. But in fact, they both seen them last at the same time.
Yeah, it's Luke made quick work of them.
Yeah.
You know, everything's easier with a lightsaber. But they wound up tackling the droid down and finding out that it had something in it that it wasn't supposed to have. And they quickly found out that they have a whole little droid bar, which is weird. A droid bar where they're just walking around just drinking lubricant. That has something, has code in it that's not supposed to be there, and then they find out that they traced the code back to our boy Mr. Christopher Lloyd, the officer himself, because he's always the villain. This really reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when they find out that he's a tyrant and he just like flips out and has that moment at the end, like, I'm gonna push the button, I'm gonna kill everybody here. So like I said, they wound up finding out that it obviously is him, turning them into the Duchess. Obviously, he's not about to fight nothing. This guy's like 80-something years old. So I wasn't expecting to fight. I was hoping he was going to put like some battle armor on or something like that. But we do find out that he is a separatist. And separatists don't mess with the Republic, and they don't mess with the Empire. They were kind of just like that
democracy.
Right. In between party, like, again, Star Wars, right?
Yeah, but also with the other like big thing is that he also was like, yo, we actually get down with Count Dooku and his philosophy as well too. He was the visionary, which, if I didn't know anything, and I had not read any of the novels in pertaining to Count Dooku, but when they just released that, I keep forgetting the name of it too, but the recent animated series with all of the Jedi stories, Count Dooku becomes one of the most interesting stories, period. And it makes sense that he would have such a following. And so to hear that kind of intrigued me more to say, like, I need to do some research, I need to do some digging to kind of see, to what extent did his following go. And also too, really quickly, because I feel like you jumped something too. When we did have the street scene of Bo and Daw, and then chasing the battle droid through the city. Oh, that was so beautifully shot. One, because it does give you, like, when you talk about the Skywalker saga, it gives you that feel of the chases that we got from Obi-Wan and whatnot. But beyond that, just the color, the neon lights gives you that
real cyberpunk feel.
Yeah, that's exactly. And they definitely it's dope, especially with the colors reflecting off of the Mandalorian steel. It's just really, really dope how they did that. As you said, they were off day. Batman and Robin is adventures and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of good cop, bad cop going on. Like, oh yeah, like look, I'm gonna beat the droids up and like I'm gonna handle this.
Nah, we're not gonna do it that way. Yeah, that's exactly right. This was definitely a good cop, bad cop story or episode.
Yeah, listen, I really liked it. But eventually they found out that it's him, and they arrest him. They turn him in. He explains, like you said, his alliance to Count Dooku, and he don't like the way that everybody's kind of gone soft. In the midst of everything this is going on. So another small hint, I think, of obviously future events to come, and like reestablishing this third party group that kind of wants that order back. And like I said, we'll kind of, I guess we'll kind of get back into that, and whenever they decide to bring Moff Gideon back, because obviously at this point we already know. But they do wind up getting everything that they came for, and I do believe that the Duchess and the captain did award them an audience.
Yeah, I mean, beyond that, I mean, let's just, the only thing that matters is Grogu getting knighted off doing nothing. Like, I like Grogu, but like my man didn't do nothing, so him out here
helping
her cheat gets him knighted.
I think she was aware of it. I think,
of course, they were colluding together. So 1,000% she knew.
I can already see the Duchess and Grogu toys being packaged right now, right? Like,
I mean, for sure,
Lizzo,
for sure, using it, but it won't be Lizzo's face though, because you're going to have to pay $1 for the likeliness of that. Disney will take. Hey man, there's a lot of toys out there, but they sure as hell don't look like half the people that they're supposed to be out here. So. But it was obviously her solid for what he was doing for her and whatnot. I mean, she's just so fond of him. So
right, yeah. Great. It was pretty cool. And then, like I said, once we're done with all the knighting and everything like that, we finally get back to our main story within like the last 10 minutes, maybe 10 to 5 minutes episode.
Yeah,
where Bo-Katan's like, "Look, I'm back. What's up? I need you to follow me." And old boy is like, "Nah, you gone. You ain't even got the saber. You ain't nobody." Like, so they do what Mandalorians do, and they fight it out for a challenge. Yeah. Boy, I did not think they was gonna have him beating on Bo-Katan like that. Oh man, I'm very surprised. Like, he was really going in. Like, but we do see Sasha Banks. I don't even think she has any lines in the episode.
I like her, but I'm not about to fanboy over her. It's just a matter of us seeing the mercenaries again, and would that conversation and interaction like, and when Bo-Katan and them show up, there's a slight bit of hostility. Like, what you doing here is that the folks kind of walk up. And you can see by Sasha Banks' character, which I'm just gonna stop calling her Sasha Banks because the WWE name, Casca Reeves. You can see her basically on edge, like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, she's obviously emotionally invested into this battle, because that's what the Mandalorians do. If you want rank, you have to battle for rank. Just like if you want the saber, you have to battle for it. So Axe now saying, I'm not backing down, I'm the leader now, and I kind of like it here. And Bo-Katan's like, yeah, so I'm here to get my fleet, which, by the way, they're completely stacked. I know you've seen all the ships and everything. I mean, they not doing too bad over there, so I can understand it, right? So they have to challenge in true Mandalorian way because that's what they do. But beyond her in a very fierce battle together, I think the result was just the most interesting. I mean, obviously we knew she was going to win, but he made a point that struck a nerve that I did not think was going to be resolved so quick when he was just kind of like, you can't even be the leader because you challenging the wrong person. I was like, yeah, that's definitely true. You definitely after the wrong person. So, yeah, you know, and beyond that, you know, we get that speech at the end, which was really cool. Also, too, you didn't even mention like in terms of like the droid malfunctions and what was happening, nano droids, and like, yeah, although he was behind it and had ordered all of it, nano droids is an interesting strategy that they use here, saying that you can have droids that is compromised by other droids in order to fulfill or so I say compromise the integrity of these droid systems. And beyond that too, the droids trying to show a little bit of humanity, like, hey, we do know we were created by you all, but we just trying to be out the way. Like, y'all out here talking about humans are going to take our positions, and like, we don't know how we feel about that. I said, oh man, they love tying in real civilization ties to this show. Like, you almost like, it's almost like Toy Story when, you know, the toys were upset because you would throw them away and they'd be like, man, we got feelings. It's almost like how humans have felt about their jobs being taken because of robotics and whatnot. So you got these droids saying like, yeah, like we came from you all, but like we just try to do our thing out the way, and y'all out here getting rid of us, and now we hearing y'all about to just completely, I mean, y'all decommission us, y'all reprogram us, and then all of a sudden y'all like, oh, now we're just going to just replace y'all by humans. It's like, all right, we don't know how we feel about that. I was like, damn, that's kind of messed up. Like,
yeah, they definitely give the droids a little bit more sentience, I think, than just being just, oh, do this, do that. And obviously they've given droids and stuff personality over the years, but I think this one hits a little bit more on like the emotional spectrum because they just want to be useful. Yeah. They want to stay on. They want to be powered on.
Can't blame them.
And to the point, like I said, that's why I said I thought it was weird that it's almost like a completely separate droid society in this bar where it's just like, why do they have their own bar? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I love how the one droid tried to sneak out. There's like, nobody goes nowhere. But I mean, like, again, that because we only know droids to be servants, and to see them actually kind of have a lifestyle and kind of express feelings. That's why they're droids, because you know they're not just robots. It's cool. I think this is part of like the Disney Plus branding in terms of the expansion of these universes with Star Wars and Pixar and the MCU, is that like we're seeing aspects of this that you never actually thought about. You know, like, what do the droids do when they're just not working? Oh, they go to the bar and they turn up. They do their thing.
WD-4.
Yeah. And by the way, too, I didn't look it up, but like, total hats off to the voice actors here, which I'm sure they're notable people since they use really good notable people for the animated series. But just the voice work is really good. And I think how can I distinguish what's good voice acting outside of just somebody speaking is because sometimes you can recognize people's voice because you just know their body of work. Right. But none of these George, none of it's like, I don't know that voice, which means that by their work, sometimes there's some post manipulation and whatnot, which is fine because you have to do that. Some people probably can't sound like a robot, some people can't. But nonetheless, you feel what they're saying. That's the first hint of like good voice acting. Like when you feel compelled to the statements that they're making, you're like, yeah. And again, the droid at the bartender droid, like, you know what? I actually feel kind of bad for them now. Like, I'm actually on my ballot this year. I'm voting pro droid. Like, we gotta make sure like we're not decommissioning them, reprogramming them, and then replacing them. Like, geez, man, they got kids out here. They don't even care. So
Yeah, something you mentioned earlier too about just kind of like the guest stars, like the celebrities that are in the Star Wars universe now, like especially within these shows. Before it was like, you know, you would have a celebrity in the movie, but they was a stormtrooper, so you didn't know they were there, or they were like behind the scenes, like
Prince
blurred out.
Harry and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, you know, there was, now it's more of a public thing where I think a lot more people are willing to get a guest role on these shows. You know, I think like, you know, same thing with like the MCU stuff, where, you know, you'll see like big people that you would never even think would even be in this, and same thing here. Like I said, I wouldn't think to ever see Lizzo and Jack Black and Christopher Lloyd, even though Christopher Lloyd's done like Star Trek and stuff like that before, but because he was a Cleon. But I think the thing has been opened up a lot more. So I think as this show goes on and through other shows, we're going to start to see more and more big guest star people that are starting to fill out more of the Star Wars universe. Which I think is pretty cool, because now nobody thinks of this as just like, you know, kind of like a little, because the biggest franchise in the world, but nobody feels like
it's not a niche community. Like you can come in and be a part and be a part of this universe with regardless of your level of fandom. And I think that's important to expand to audiences. Like, yes, this is one of the biggest IPs, period. Definitely top 3, but who's to say even at the top you still don't have work to be done? I think that, like, yeah, look at this. We have Lizzo and Jack Black as relation or as a dynamic duo on the throne here. I mean, come on now. Didn't know I needed that, but sure as hell it was enjoying it for what it's worth. Let's revisit them back very soon. And by the way, too, another thing, just looking at the costumes, I know we was talking about like all the folks around, but like truly look at everybody's costume. Even the guy that brought the sword to Lizzo character tonight, Grogu, I mean, his armor was top tier. They're spending money just for folks to basically be cameos in this. Like, it's really that good. I love the vibrant colors, and I just love like the shifting tone, and it just was fun.
Just jumping back to the end of it all, where we were talking about, you know, Bo-Katan challenging Den for the Darksaber.
You mean Axe basically saying you need to. She didn't challenge them because she didn't.
She was impressed at that point. She knew what it was. Like, I gotta say, this is the kind of the moment of the show that I absolutely didn't like. For me personally, just because of everything that's been built up towards the Darksaber. Now, obviously, it does belong to her. It fits more of her, but I think the aesthetic of him having the Darksaber, it just kind of fits that character a little bit more. I wish there was a battle. He's just like, look, you had to come save me. This basically belongs to you. Like, I would have died if it wasn't for you. Here you go. No fuss, no fight. And they're like, you guys disagree with that? And they're like, nah. Like we cool with it being transferred like that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Don't see a problem with it at all. He's entirely right. She defeated the person that defeated him, so technically it becomes hers. And you don't want to create divide by effort to unify them. So the moment you're like, you need to face me for this, that can create conflict. He wins, she feels defeated, she goes back into exile. Right. Here she's like, you know, but like, shall I say, empowering her, which is happening here from the armorer, from all of the folks at Concordia, and even now having the mercenaries behind her, and Axe Woven now had to kneel to her, you know, yield to her. This is right, and yeah, I think when you think back to the armorer believing in her and knowing that she has seen the mythosaur, excuse me. It makes sense. Why not? And I think also if you go back and look at just the journey of this character through Clone Wars to now, I mean, I think it's interesting to see this story arc in all. And I think now she will take that vicious side off of her, and I think she will be more about the future and the legacy of her house.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, we'll see where it goes from them. I mean, like I said, this season's supposed to be on episodes chapter 6. You know, guns for hire. So we have like 2 more episodes left. this is the point where we got our army, we got whatever. Let's see where this ramps up to next. We're gonna get my boy Moff Gideon in these last 2 episodes at this point.
Yeah,
but because like I said, now we're getting to the point where we're getting to our big plot, like the overall story. Because the first couple episodes, like where are we going? And they finally, like I said, usually how this show works out. Okay, now we're getting to the point. So like I said, overall good episode, fun episode. Good to see Jack Black and Lizzo do their thing. Good to see them kind of resolve the whole Darksaber thing. It's gonna suck not seeing Mando kind of use it. He never really had a good feel for it anyway.
Yeah. So what you talking about here? She knows, and she's skilled with it. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
She turns it on, no effort, because every time he turns it on, he's like dropping to the ground. He can barely control it. So it is what it is. I mean, those toys are gonna sell. So Bo-Katan with the Darksaber. So I don't know, like I said, a good episode. Did you have any final thoughts on Guns for Hire?
Yeah, we got 2 more episodes to go. This is episode 6, right? So 7 and 8 being the finale. You think, okay, cool. In the series, let's not forget, announced today that Ahsoka is coming to Disney Plus this year. Oh. Ahsoka had also appeared in The Mandalorian. Ahsoka had also appeared in the Book of Boba Fett. I say that to say there must be a connection here, which means I wouldn't be surprised if we see something tying that together for episode 8. I think it's critical in terms of the overall storytelling that they do with all these series, the connectability that we want, and it makes sense. And I think that at this point now, what more do we have to talk about with this? The unity of the Mandalorian. She has the Darksaber. What does that mean when she takes it back to the armorer? Definitely question to be made there. I guess Grogu and his quest to be a Mandalorian, and if he continues that, or does he have conflict in wanting to be a Jedi because he wants to make do with the folks who saved him, which I mentioned before. But other than that, you have to start shifting gears into what's the story of Ahsoka going to be. And with Ahsoka's story, we know, and there should be some major connectivities with everything that's going on. So
yeah, so looking forward to all that, and hopefully we see what's going to happen next episode, because obviously they don't offer previews for the next episode, so you always kind of going into each thing blind. So I'm pretty excited for chapter 7. But on that note, like I said, let us know what you thought about the overall episode of the show, chapter 6. Leave us a comment. Come back every week as we keep bringing you these insightful little kernels of information and reviews. And leave us comments and let me and Najee know where you think the future of the Mandalorian's going, and what's next in the Star Wars mythos, the universe. But on that note, we said we're going to join you for that next episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.